Good morning, everybody. At least it's good morning here. My name is Dennis, and welcome back to the Funky Brain Podcast. And today I have a wonderful restaurateur, owner of Patsy's Restaurant in New York City, the world famous Patsy's Restaurant, Italian restaurant next to Carnegie Hall in the theater district of New York City, Mr. Sal Scognamillo. How are you doing today, sir?
It's great to be with you. Thank you so much, my friend. Everything is good. My family is, like I said, my family is healthy, and that's all we can ask for now. The thing is that right now, of course, we can't be open. We're waiting for, from the governor and guidance from the mayor as well to see when we can open. And, we just want to make sure when it is that it's safe for everyone. And, that's, I think, a big part of this. My wife has been taking a lot of webinars about reopening and things like that. And I think the most important thing you have to do is reassure your clients that, it's going to be a safe experience for them. And what they remembered, we're very lucky in that we've been around for over 76 years. My grandparents started Patsy's Italian Restaurant in 1944, and I'm very, very blessed. It's a great location, as you mentioned, in the theater district of New York City by Carnegie Hall. And that does account for a lot of our business. And of course, to be safe, the theaters have decided that they would be earliest reopening would be in about Labor Day, which, it makes sense because when you think about a theater, not only the actors, but then of course there's the orchestra is in the pit and they're all together. And, it's something that they have to take into consideration everyone's health and well-being. But we're doing okay, thank God. I'm very lucky in the sense, like I mentioned, we're there for a long time, we're established business, and we do have a very loyal clientele. I'm very, very blessed. Our customers become our family, and it's really what my grandparents intended when they opened the restaurant. I mean, these are recipes they made at home, and they said the only difference now we have a bigger kitchen and a bigger dining room, and it's been great. I really love it. I've been there full time since 1985, and I'm so blessed. My wife joined the business with me about 5 years ago, and our oldest son has graduated college, and this is all he ever wanted to do in terms of whenever he started, was able to speak, he'd always talk about working at the restaurant. So he did go to college and get a degree in business, but then he joined us. And our youngest son, he's going to be working with us as well, but he's going to go back to school in a graduate program for psychology starting in August. He got accepted. We're very happy. I'm glad he's smart like his mother, so he got to that program. But what we did do was for the month of April, we felt we had to do something. And even though we're not open, we do sell our packaged jarred pasta sauce. And we did, in the month of April, we donated all the profits to Direct Relief, which is the frontline people that are fighting the virus, And we felt that it was something that, everyone feels what they can do in life. So my strength is food. So I was able to do this. There are people that are doing musical podcasts to help people get through this because that's their strength. So, and I always say, and people love when I say, is food is love. To me, food is love. And that's what we gave. And this is just to show you, this is what the jar looks like. If I can hold it up there. That's our vodka sauce, second most popular next to marinara. And I know that we always have this debate about sauce and gravy, and we had talked about it on the telephone before. And my grandfather, Patsy, always said, his real name was Pasquale, by the way, and he went through Ellis Island and they nicknamed him Patsy, which was interesting. So Patsy used to say that if it's just like garlic and oil and tomato, like a marinara, it's a sauce. And then the other major sauce would be tomato sauce. Instead of garlic, you'd have the onion, olive oil, and the tomato. People can't believe that, a red sauce restaurant doesn't put garlic in everything, but those are the two major sauces. And so he said if it had that, it was sauce. And then if you put meat in it, like brajol or sausage, and you cooked it for a long time, then it was gravy. But he contradicted himself because on our menu, we have spaghetti with meat sauce. So it's meat, but it's sauce, right? So either way, you can't win that argument. But either way, it's a good thing because so many people have different recipes, and they're all good. It's just the way you were grown up and how you made it. And I'm very, very lucky. I was not forced into the business. I took television and film production in college. So this type of stuff is right up my alley. And I worked for 6 months as a cameraman, and I couldn't get any work. My dad, who was the chef before me, And his father, Patsy, my grandfather, chef before him, said to me, would you like to learn how to cook? I said, sure. And that's 35 years ago. See how fast it goes?
It goes so fast. And I went to culinary school. I was a chef for a long time. And
Oh my God, that's great. Now you're doing this. We reverse position.
yeah, well, I did so many different things. I had a coin business, and then now I do motivational speaking and life coach, and I do marketing and sales. Like, life just, you kind of just like life take you where it goes and just kind of enjoy the ride, right? Do the next right thing that's in front of you.
That's very.
But just to get back to what you were just talking about, and we talked about before we went on the air here, was like the gravy. And my grandmother used to make the gravy. And when I left New Jersey, when I was growing up, I went up to Vermont for about 10 years, and I would call it gravy, and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? They were thinking gravy is brown gravy, but you put on turkey.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I had to explain to them the brujol, and nobody really outside of that world where you live, where I grew up, even knows what brujol is.
That's fun. That's right.
Yeah. But again, because the simmering the sauce with the meat does two things. It gives the sauce flavor, and it tenderizes the meat, and it makes it just full of that juicy tomato flavor. And my mom still makes it sometimes, but she'll put in also like those country ribs, like the pork.
Delicious.
Oh yeah, because there's all that fat in there, and then the fat all renders down, and it's all like.
It's so funny because people always ask me, because obviously we're a Southern Italian, Patsy's Italian restaurant, Southern Italian red sauce restaurant. So the red sauce is the base of the kitchen. So they say, what's the secret? Now, like in a marinara, like I mentioned, was garlic, oil, tomato. There is no secret in the sense that that's the major flavor of all it. And then you add your salt, pepper, oregano, basil, whatever you want. But for me, the key is not to cook it a long time. People think that you have to cook a marinara like you would cook a gravy for 3-4 hours. No, because you lose the freshness of the tomato in a marinara, because that's all you have. Remember, 95% of the sauce is tomato. So you just bring it to a boil, let it simmer 15 minutes, and I put the little bit tomato paste at the end. I know a lot of people put it at first, they brown it, with the oil. But for me, this is the way I was taught. My father and his father before him. So I'm only the third chef in all these years. And it's something I would obviously never change. And we're so lucky, the level of consistency. Like I deal with some of the same vendors that my grandfather dealt with. Like I've been buying the same for the mozzarella and the ricotta and all the cheese and the soubressade and cold cuts from the same people, same family for 76 years now. We've been, and it's something that I think when I've gotten a compliment, people say, what is it that, you feel is the best compliment you ever got? And it's this one, when a customer who has been coming to the restaurant since probably before I was even born, and he brings his family now, and he said, Sal, I know what it's going to taste before I come here. I know how it's going to taste. That's why I come back all the time. So it's a big blessing. And again, throughout this thing, I have to tell you, my customers have been so supportive. They keep saying, the first place I want to go when this craziness is over, we want to come see you guys. And, like I mentioned, in April, we donated the proceeds of the sale of the sauce to Direct Relief. So many of my steady customers bought that sauce. It's a very nice feeling because it becomes more than just a restaurant. And I've written 2 cookbooks. The first one, Nancy Sinatra, Frank Sinatra's daughter, wrote the foreword. And she wrote in there something that sticks with me. She said, to me, Patsy's is more than a restaurant. It's a touchstone. So in other words, in all the events in her life and things like that. And I don't know if you had known that her father, Frank Sinatra, was his favorite restaurant. And, I always say it's the restaurant made famous by Frank Sinatra. And to this day, so many people talk about that I came here because I heard it was Frank's favorite place, whether celebrity or not celebrity. And it's such a warm feeling. I'm very, very blessed.
What a great story. And so tell us, can we still buy that sauce?
If you're on the East Coast, we do sell in a lot of supermarkets like ShopRite, King Supermarket, some of the food towns. I mean, we'll put a list on our website. But if you go to our website, which is Patsys.com without the apostrophe, PATSYS.com. It has a link for you to order the sauce. You could have it delivered right to your home. And, that's obviously an important thing right now with what's going on, is to get something right to your house. It's a great meal. Who doesn't like pasta?
Right, yeah, sure. And if somebody wanted to buy your cookbooks, and how would they do that?
Sure, they could also get on our website, Patsys.com as well, or Amazon. And the first book I could show you, and this is the one that I was saying, the forward written by Nancy Sinatra, is a cover of The Restaurant at Night. And that came out in 2002. And then the second one came out in 2015. And you can see it's a big spaghetti and meatballs. And it's with the name Patsy's Italian Family Cookbook. And this forward was written by Ben Stiller, who,
wow.
Very sadly, his dad just passed away yesterday. Jerry Stiller was him and his wife, Ann Mira. And there's a case, as I was mentioning to these people, they started coming, their first big break in show business, the comedy team of Stiller and Mira, was when they got on the Ed Sullivan Show back in the day. And the Ed Sullivan Show was taped right around the corner. It was on 53rd and Broadway, so it was just a few blocks away from us. We're on 56th and Broadway. And they said to themselves, when we get on the Ed Sullivan Show, we want to treat ourselves to a nice white tablecloth formal dinner. And that's when they started coming into the restaurant. I think it was 1953. And they've been coming ever since, and now the kids and even the grandkids as well. And it's such a wonderful feeling. And when I asked Ben Stiller if he would want to write the forward for the book, he was so generous in saying, of course he would. And he wrote such a wonderful tribute about what I'm just talking about, the generations. And just to give you a quick synopsis of the forward that he wrote, was that he remembers coming into the restaurant as a little boy, and my grandfather, Patsy, would say, "What can I make for you tonight?" Then as he got older, he remembers coming in and my father saying, "What can I make for you tonight?" And then me, Ben, "What can I make for you tonight?" He says, "I can't wait for Sal's son." And this was in 2015. He hadn't joined yet. My son Joe to say to me, and my son Peter, "What can I make for you tonight?" It's just a wonderful feeling. And I'm very blessed. And it's nice, that's a celebrity, but I don't want people to think that it's like a tourist trap. My grandparents always taught me the most important things: make sure the people are happy, and give them a big thank you that they came to your restaurant. Sounds like simple things, two simple things, but you don't always get that, especially in corporate America. This is a small family-owned business, and we always want to keep it that way, that you feel like you're walking into someone's home.
Throughout the years of your time that you've been involved in the restaurant, what was one of your favorite stories? Share one of your favorite stories.
Oh, I'd be happy to tell you. It's funny. I started coming into the restaurant when I was about 13. I would come in between, on weekends and when I was off from school or in the summer. And part of it is, it's a tough business. I never really got to see my dad as much as I liked growing up because the hours, you worked in restaurants. So I would, come in. He said, "Sal, you want to come?" I said, "Of course." I do whatever they want, peel potatoes, wash glasses, whatever. But I was 13 years old. I was 15 years old. It was 1977. The Yankees had won the World Series. And one of the many times, Billy Martin was the manager. You remember Billy Martin?
I remember Billy Martin,
yeah. Volatile man. And he called up my father. He said to my dad, "Joe, I want to come in. I want to bring the whole Yankee team to celebrate that we won the World Series. I need a reservation for 50 people. And of course, we have the upstairs room. We have two levels, so we had the upstairs room. And my father said, "Sure." We set it all up. They came in, and my father greeted Billy Martin and congratulated him on winning, and the New York Yankees on winning the World Series. And he said, "I got you all set up right over here." And he had the tables all set up, and it's the front part of the dining room. And if you could picture, if the dining room is 2/3 of it is the front part, and 1/3 there's a curtain that could be shut to separate for a party of about 35 for a little bit, if you want separation. So Billy Martin started to sit down, but he pointed to that back section where the curtain was closed and said to my father, he said, "Joe, what's going on? We always sit back there," pointing to the curtain. My father, he didn't mean it this way. He said, "Oh, I have that saved for someone really important." The last thing you say to anyone, if you don't want to get him mad at you, or especially Billy Martin, was that. So then he's he's obviously yelling and cursing at my father for the next 10 minutes. And we have a secret side entrance which opens up into that dining room space I just mentioned. He saw the curtain to that open. He saw the door to that open. And he probably said in his mind, I got to see who's more important than me. So my father was bringing up the stairs none other than Frank Sinatra. So Billy Martin comes running down the stairs. Sinatra's coming up the stairs. They come face to face. And Sinatra, this whole story is in my first cookbook, by the way, which the cookbooks have a lot of stories besides the recipes, which is fun. So I didn't put this part in the book, but Frank Sinatra said to Billy Martin, what the hell are you doing here? So I think it was the first time in his life Billy Martin couldn't have any words come out of his mouth. He got all tongue-tied and he was, ah. So Sinatra got mad and walked past him. Now, part of the reason of that was, and I had to look this up, is that the Dodgers were defeated by the New York Yankees that year, and Frank Sinatra was a Dodger fan, which people, may or may not realize. So after that happened, Billy Martin came back to my dad. And remember, he's 10 minutes of yelling at my father, getting him mad that why he couldn't sit back there. And he says, oh, could I please meet Frank Sinatra? So my father went behind the curtain. He said, Frank, this guy, he really wants to meet you. And Frank Sinatra said, I'm a little bit tired. I just flew in from the West Coast. He said, just bring him, only him, back here behind the curtain to meet me. So my father went over to Billy Martin. He says, okay, please come with me. I'll introduce you to Frank Sinatra. So my father started walking. He didn't realize Billy Martin behind him had jumped up on top of one of the tables and said to the team, come on, guys, we're going to meet Frank Sinatra. I tell you, it was wonderful. It took an hour. They all got in line, and he shook all their hands. He congratulated them on their win. They were thrilled to meet him. So 1 hour goes by. They finish. Frank Sinatra eats his dinner. The Yankees finish their dinner. Now it's 2.5 hours later. The Yankees are not leaving until Frank Sinatra leaves. So finally, Frank gets up. He slides the curtain open. He waves to the entire team. Nice to meet you. Congratulations again. They clap for him, and he goes out that secret side entrance and leaves. Normally, that would be the end of the story, but instead, Billy Martin comes over to my father, and he can't thank him enough. He said, Joe, I can't thank you. It's such a wonderful thing. Not only did we win the World Series, we ate at Patsy's restaurant, and we met Frank Sinatra. He says, we weren't going to leave until Frank left. He says, now that Frank left, he says, we can go. Please bring me the check. My father hesitated for a second. He said, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Frank picked it up for you. Isn't that something?
That's a great story, man. Wow.
They just beat his team, and he still bought them.
Yeah, that's a really nice story. I need to get there when there's a big celebrity there, so then they can pick up my check too.
I was going to say, anytime they said that, of course, Dennis. Why not? Well, I tell you, it's a wonderful thing because there's so many people now. Like every time it's Frank Sinatra's birthday, we always have a big party at the restaurant, and we put some photos up on social media. And I can't begin to tell you how many people comment said, either I started coming to your restaurant because of him, or I was there and I met him there, and this is my story. And it's so nice to have that come back. I get goosebumps when people tell me all this stuff. And, I wasn't working full time until 85. And the first time I cooked for him was in 85. He came in and he saw my father was in a suit and not a chef outfit. And he said to my father, he says, Joe, don't you have to change into your chef outfit to cook for me? And my father said, no, my son Sal took over. And he said, oh, let me go see him. So I'm in the kitchen minding my own business. And I hear the door swing open. In walks Frank Sinatra. And he says, hey, kid. I said, hi. He says, hey, kid. I said, yes, Mr. Sinatra. He says, make sure you cook as good as your pop does. I mean, he was just trying to make me feel good. Obviously, the pressure was on. But he was a wonderful man. Like I said, his family's still so good to us. His daughter, Nancy, wrote the foreword when it was the first cookbook. Sadly, his son, of course, Frank Sinatra Jr., passed away. I can't believe it. I think it's almost 4 or 5 years now. And he was a wonderful man, too. I got to know him very well. When he was at Patsy's restaurant, he came in for many years as well. Someone would say hello to him. The first thing they would say to him is, oh, I love your father. I love your father. I love your father. And he was always very gracious about that. And he said, thank you. And, that's kind of tough. So I remember one time after he turned from someone who said, I love your father, and he thanked them, he turned around and he put his hands up in the air and he said, doesn't anybody love me? He said, and it was really kind of poignant and touching. And it's tough. I mean, who's like that is a very dear friend of mine is Dean Martin's daughter. And, it's a little different. She's a female, obviously, and he was Frank Sinatra Jr., so it's a little different. Her name is Dean with an A, Dina. But they do really embrace their parents' legacy, because talk about mega superstars. You don't get much higher than that.
Yeah, big time. Those are such great stories, and they're fun stories too, in a time when things are really tough for a lot of people right now. I think a lot of businesses are really being hit hard, and probably none other than other than commercial real estate, I think, is about to take a big hit. But I think the restaurants are really, really gonna
so
suffer.
the restaurants, the hotels, the theaters, I say a prayer every night for that, because it's really a difficult time financially. Obviously, first and foremost, as people are healthy and surviving this, and hopefully we get some sort of therapies to get us past this terrible virus. But it's very hard. I read somewhere that 75% of white tablecloth restaurants, upscale, are not going to survive this.
And I don't think just New York City. I think across the nation, more than 50% of the businesses, restaurants, are probably not going to reopen. And it's really sad.
Like I said, we always think of our places not just a restaurant. We think of it as a place that people want to come and enjoy and celebrate, and sometimes sad things like funerals and stuff, but still somehow to bring the family together. God willing, I hope we'll be back. We think we should. We're lucky in the sense that, like I mentioned, we're there for a long time, good reputation, a lot of steady, very dedicated customers to us. They're very loyal to us. And most restaurants, they run on a razor thin margin, and it's difficult to survive something this long. I mean, honestly, when this first happened, I thought it was going to be, maybe a couple of weeks or a month or something like that. Maybe the longest would be 6 weeks. It'd be maybe back by the end of April. But apparently it's more difficult than anyone had realized. And, we have to get to the point where it's safety. My parents are in their 80s. They can't go anywhere. Thank God they live close to me. So we go visit in the backyard, far enough away, but we can see each other. And my sister and myself and my wife and kids have been shopping for them, whatever we have to get. And I just feel like at a certain point, though, they do have to let the businesses open again. They really have to do that. And people should, make a wise decision. Obviously, me as a business owner, I would take every precaution to make sure every safety guide, CDC guideline was followed. And, I just, in some ways, I feel a little bit like, disappointed, because people, and I'm not comparing the two exactly, because it's not comparing apples to apples, but you can go shopping and you pass people and you touch things and you do. I think a restaurant would be less of that experience, less invasive, less touching, less passing people, because once you're in, you sit down, you're basically at the table, and people could serve you. So I'm hoping that our elected leaders get to a point where they feel that it's safe and understand that it's a need. I mean, I know verbally they all express that, and I think in their hearts they all want us to reopen, and they want to do it safely. But I think we need to get there hopefully a little bit sooner rather than later.
Yeah, well, we're all going to get through this at some point somehow. But to shift gears a little bit, to try to keep it a little more upbeat, and because you're clearly very well experienced in this restaurant world. And so for those that are aspiring, for the young kid that's just starting out that wants to own a Patsy's someday, what can you tell them? What advice would you give?
I think the best thing is to, if it's in your heart, follow it. You have to do it. And it is something that, and I know it sounds cliché, but I said food is love. If you love this, and you want to do it, you have to do this. It's a great thing to do. And you know what? If nothing else, my father taught me this. And it's a life skill. It's something you could always use. Think about it now. You're home. If you can know how to cook, there you go, right? But it's funny because I'll be honest with you. In 25 years, we're in our home right now. I've used my stove the most in the last 2 months, more than the rest of the 25 years. I usually don't cook at home. I usually throw something on the grill, or we'll pick up food or go out. But obviously that's the case. And my youngest son loves it too. And we thought he wanted to be the chef, but he decided, and again, I would never force him to do that. He decided he loves psychology, so he wants to help people. And so I would tell that young person, yes, follow your dream, follow your heart. Food is love. You can bring love, even if it doesn't become your career. It's such a wonderful life skill of bringing the family together. I mean, especially our Italian heritage, which we talked about. And even the Jewish, you had the Jewish background too. It's so similar. I live in mostly Jewish neighborhood, and it's so similar of that love and caring and nurturing for the body and the soul. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I equate food with a lot with music. My grandfather, he loved music. He didn't play professionally, but he played the piano. And our first customers were from Broadway. Like you mentioned, we're close to Broadway, and they were the musicians. So it has a special affinity in our hearts. So the food and the music, think about it. What's better than having a great dinner with the people you love, maybe a little music, my preference, Frank Sinatra, of course, in the background. And what's more satisfying and relieving stress and helping you to get through and this is a difficult time. So that's what you need to think as a career and as just, if nothing else, a life skill. That's what I would tell that young person.
I agree with you. And I was in the restaurant. I was a skier, so it fit my lifestyle. Like I got to ski every day, and then I worked every night. And that's so it worked at the time for me. That I did that for about 10 years in the kitchen. And then I left, and then I did some front of house stuff, but because it's hard to get out of the business once you're in there. It's like, yeah, like I have this skill. I do all the cooking in the house and almost every night.
Perfect.
And it's great. And, you know, sometimes I still do some private chef gigs. I have a little website where people can find for a private chef to come over, and not, you know, like parties of like 6 to like maybe 12 people, and I'll do like a nice 5-course meal. And it gets me back to doing that without having to stare at the same 4 yellow walls.
You're right. You're true. A little difference. Yeah, that's great. Oh, what a wonderful, nice thing that is. And I bet you that, you know, you could probably use that now to some degree. People want to do private events. Yeah.
Yes, except, but yes, like I'm expecting as things start opening up and people start trusting more, then I'll probably get a little more phone calls. I don't think it's going to be like, hey, we're open, let's get back to the way it used to be, because that's not going to happen for a little while. But
yes,
but again, it is nice. I do one thing I love, like you were talking about. It's for the soul, and I like when people are sitting down and you're having a nice meal and like a chef cooking it for you. That's why you go out. You're not like stressed out. You're not thinking about the problems of the world or the stupid things that are going on. You're just like having conversation and enjoying good food. And I love when I look down and people are like, oh, Dennis, this is so good. Like it makes you feel good inside, because it's a lot of work. And you know this, but it's like when you go to a dinner or a party or whatever it is, you're there for however long you're there, maybe an hour up to 4 hours for like a wedding party or something. So that's all you see. Yeah. You don't see the other 16 hours that went into prepping for that 2 hours that you're going to be there.
A lot of work. But like you say, it's therapeutic. It really is therapeutic for you. And it's funny, as I mentioned, my youngest son, who loves to cook, who's going to try to go for school for psychology, I said, it's funny. I make a joke. I said, we can make a new business. I said, we'll serve them spaghetti and meatballs, and then they'll lay down on the couch and you could talk to them. So it's that type of thing. But it's funny how restaurateurs, and even especially bartenders, you know, how you sit and relax, and not that you tell them your problems, but you could talk about things and figure things out, and it makes you sort of come down a notch, you know, and relax, because life is hectic and stressful, and especially with this is probably, I hope, the worst thing that we have to, go through in our lives, and nothing worse than this. But, it's a serious thing. It's a serious thing what happened. The virus is real, and I'm glad that we responded strong to it. But, I can't wait to get back in there and make people happy. And, that's what it's all about. People say to me, what's your favorite part of the job? And they always think it would be that if they say I'd be cooking and doing it. No. When I can. So what I do is go around and greet people. And that's my favorite part. What is better than if someone says, oh, this is so delicious. I love this. You've got the opportunity to make someone happy. And isn't that a wonderful feeling?
It is, yeah. And it's like my art. People have different forms of art. For me, cooking is my art. And when you're doing your art, there's an emotional component. And it makes you feel good inside. So you got to keep doing that.
Oh, it is. I enjoy going to work. People say 35 years. I said, no, it's every day. I look forward to going to work. I really do.
Awesome. Well, we've been talking with Sal Scognamillo, and I'm just really honored that you were able to sit down and talk with me today. And once again, can you tell people how to get in touch with you if they want to buy your book, your sauce, or just stay in touch with Patsy's Restaurant? How can they do that?
Our website is the easiest way. It's patsys.com without the apostrophe, PATSYS.com. You can order the sauce, the cookbooks on there. We also sell a lot of gift certificates as well. The other way is just to go on our Facebook. Every Monday we do a recipe on our Facebook, and I did a couple from home now. So that's a great way to keep connected. And it's, obviously when we're back in business, it's Patsy's Italian Restaurant, 236 West 56th Street, New York City. And I just want to make one thing. It's our only location. Other places have similar names, not affiliated with us. I know that people get mixed up sometimes, but please come and see us. The Scognamillo family is always there. God willing, we all get through this healthy, happy, and we get ourselves back to our normal lives as soon as possible. So patsys.com, or the restaurant when we open, 236 West 56th Street, New York City.
Awesome, Sal. Thanks so much. I can't wait till I can get back there and give you a big hug.
I can't wait for that, my friend. It will be so great. It's so happy talking to you. It's an honor to be on your show. Keep doing that good stuff that you're doing. You help a lot of people that you'll never realize.
I appreciate that. I really do. And thanks, everybody, for watching. I hope you enjoyed talking with Sal and myself today, and have a great day today. Bye for now. Hey, Dennis here. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I need to quit? Or maybe you've tried dozens or even hundreds of times on your own, but you can't do it. If you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, call me now for a free 20-minute consultation. We'll just talk for a little bit and we'll see if you don't feel better. And while we're all dealing with the COVID pandemic, I'm offering 2 free full 40-minute coaching sessions. We'll get you set up with the tools you need to become successful in recovery and sobriety. I know from experience, having been sober since April 8th of 2003, that it is not easy, but you don't have to do it by yourself. I'm here to help. We'll do it together. If I can get clean and sober, anybody can. So call me right now, not tomorrow when you're sick and hungover. Again, right now. I'm here to help. Have a great day.